computer, and then after the fact, we can, yes, those sounds will come across very clearly. After the fact, we can make sure we upload it to YouTube.
Cool.
Yeah, it
Sounds
should
good.
be recording now.
All right. Yep. I can see it's being recorded now.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. So let's officially call to order our March meeting of the Paxton Economic Development Committee on March 20th. This meeting's exclusively online. On Teams, we do have enough people for a quorum, so we can get started. I always have introductions first. There's nobody new to be introduced, so we can move beyond that. We have the approval of the meeting minutes from our February meeting, which was February 27th, 2025. I sent those out just a little bit earlier today. I don't know if people had time to review them. I did not have any changes. Do we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February?
So moved.
All right. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right. Is there any discussion, any edits? I went through them myself. It was kind of late. I was late in sending them. Jason did get them to me in plenty of time, but I was traveling, so I didn't have any edits or anything. So no discussion. All right. So I guess we have to vote. Roll call, right? Peter? Yay or nay?
Could you hear me?
No, yep. I think you're good.
Okay.
JJ,
Yay.
Heather,
Yes.
and Brooke's not voting, right? Brooke's not voting, right? So it's all right. And I'm a yes also. So the meeting minutes are approved. All right. Moving on to old business. The first thing on the agenda was the status of the committee charge and deliverables. I have started this, Heather. But I was gone all week, so I think I'll have it done by this weekend. Of course, what happens is I start. Oh, good. Oh, Essie was able to join too. Excellent. So, yeah, I started redlining them. But what happens is, as I start doing it, I'm nowhere like near the original version that I sent you. I just keep redlining it. It's kind of brand new, which is to be expected. So I will. I'll get that done. I'm trying to think though, because it's probably going to look. Does it need to go through this committee first? I'm thinking. And then I think we should vote on it here in the EDC, make sure, because it's just my version. It's, so I'll get that to our next EDC meeting, and we'll get it voted on and go from there. If anybody has any questions about that, let me know. But I mean, it's kind of on me to make the original red lines, but it's about really everybody on this committee. So, so I'll get that. And Essie, I know you just joined, but it's we're talking about the committee charge and deliverables. I had originally edited the document and sent it around. What Heather really wants is a redlined version of the original, which makes sense. And so that's been on my plate for a while. I'll get that done and we'll get it through this committee first, so you guys have the ability to edit. We'll come up with a final redlined version as a group. So I'll make sure that's ready to go for our next meeting.
Yeah, and Tony, I just wanted to bring up real quick related to that. You and I had talked, I think when we met with Brooke, just offline, about if there's enough interest in the EDC and we think there's other folks who'd like to join the committee, then
Yes.
there may not be a need for me to stay on the committee. We've been through several renditions of the membership for this committee, and had trouble over time getting a quorum. So I ended up going from a non-voting to a voting member in one of the renditions. But
Right.
I am happy to remove myself as a voting member and give that to a resident or a business in town who is interested in working with the EDC.
Yeah, and obviously we love having you here, but you'd still be able to attend in your town administrative capacity, so that'd be great whenever you need to, So I'm a firm believer in things coming off of your plate. I say that all the time, so I think you need to do less, but I like you not to burn out and fizzle out and all that good stuff. So, so what we'll do is, again, I'll put that draft together. I'll get it out to everybody. Like, I'll take what's out there right now on the website. I'll take that. That's what I started doing, and I'm redlining it. And I'll get it out there to everybody on the Economic Development Committee. we can't discuss it by email, but I'll get it out to you early enough that you can make your own edits, comments. And then when we come together next time, we'll come to a final version of it, and we'll kind of reconcile it in our next meeting and then get it to Heather so that she can get it on the select board agenda. So that's something I want everyone to think about, to Heather's point, right? Right now, I think the committee makeup is 2 business owners, 2 residents, 1 planning board member, and we have the town administrator listed there, but would be replacing that, right, with, and then we have 1 finance committee member, so would be replacing the town administrator position with either a business owner or a resident. So if anybody has an opinion on that right now that they want to discuss, I think that would be great. If not, think about it for our next meeting, how you want that to work.
Does anyone know if there is people that are interested in joining or have shown some type of interest?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've had a couple people express interest, but I don't know how serious they were, to be honest. And
Yeah.
and then I think, I don't know what everybody's opinion is on whether it should be another resident or another business owner. I think it's interesting with the size of the committee, it's going to change the balance of that, or if there's some other capacity we're not thinking of, right? Should there be somebody from another committee? So, think about that, because right now we have 2 business owners, 2 residents, the planning board, the finance committee. Should that last person be another business owner, another resident, or should it be a member, of another committee?
Yeah.
So something to think
To
about.
think about. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure there's lots of people out there on other committees who are thinking, you know what I want? I want to be on another committee.
That's exactly what everyone thinks.
Right. So I'll be honest, I don't really know which way I lean right now. What it would be. My initial thinking was I was leaning towards another resident. At the end of the day, it's the residents that, whether you're a business owner or not, it's, residents, people who are paying the taxes and voting, and anything we're doing is really within the realm of what they want, so it might make sense to have another resident represented. That's just my initial thought. So let's all think about it, and I'll get it out there, and I'll put something in there in the red line version, but it's just a placeholder. It's really for all of us to decide together. So nothing really to vote on that or anything. So any more discussion on that? Any questions, concerns? We can move on if not.
Nope.
I mean, we can always, Tony, on that one, when you're redeveloping it, you can always just write resident/business
Right.
owner. And
Right.
that way, whoever's interested can apply, and the committee and as well as the select board can weigh in if we do have
That's a good
multiple
point.
people.
Yeah.
But that way it's also kind of a flex seat moving in the future. So if we get to a point where we have a resident who's not interested, but we have a business owner who is, or vice versa.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. Pete, were you saying something there?
No.
Oh, okay. I couldn't tell.
I just think the more people who want to get involved, the better approach to let people know of this committee.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ideas for this committee are going to come from everywhere, right? We may come up with 90% might come from people that aren't even on the committee, and we end up just running with them and implementing them. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's all what's best for the town at the end of the day. So, all right. So, again, I'll make sure that I get that red line version going and out to all of you. I'm gonna shoot to get that out to you next week so that you have time to look at it and think about it. So, all right. If there's nothing else on that, the next thing was confirming access to SharePoint. I think I saw that you were able to go in there as I expected. So I sent invitations just to Heather, and then because Jason, does the minutes and stuff like that up until now, I sent them invitations just to confirm how the access works for our new SharePoint site. So Heather, as I expected, has add, edit, delete, master of the universe type of profile. But what I want to make sure is I think I'm going to send everybody else on the committee an invite this week. It's just a test document I put out there. What I want to see is, can you just view it? Can you edit it? My hope is you can only view it. and you shouldn't be able to edit it. So I'll send that out maybe even tonight to everybody else and just see how that works. On that note too, I've got to reach out to the tech guy again. The email works, but it doesn't work on my phone. For some reason my work profile on my phone blocks the email. So I've been trying to use the email. Any emails that I sent just from the EDC email address. I'm just so basically anybody if you're sending anything or replying to anything, just include my personal email. I'm doing that for now. My Tony Dom 8890 email that I use on the other communications because I can't get to that EDC email from my phone right now, and I think it's something to do with my work and all of their crazy security. So, but it is good that we have the email address. If we do any kind of official reach out, like when we send out invitations for the networking event, stuff like that, we can do it through that email address, which will be really cool. So nothing else on that. I've left the annual winter event under old business. We're not going to put a lot of effort. For me, the two main things we need to focus on right now are ribbon cutting ceremonies. I want to really just iron out that process tonight, and then also getting this networking event going. Those are really our two main areas of focus right now. So the annual winter event will stay on here. As we get a little further, into the summer, we can start, planning that out. So this I do think is an important thing so Soccer Asylum has confirmed that we can have space there free of charge May 19th, 6 to 8 p.m. For the networking event. So now I guess the question is, how do we really get into the planning, phase of this? These are kind of weird things, right? I don't want to get in. When we're planning these events, it's a little bit of a gray area for me. Like, how much communication can we have offline? Does it all need to be planned in here on public meetings? Can we do a lot of it through email? As long as it's, if we're just talking about the details, can we do that through email throughout the week, or is that problematic?
So what I'd probably do, Tony, is maybe consider just assigning it to a non-quorum group. So
Yeah,
what do we have? How many members do we currently have on the committee?
7.
We have 7. So
Yeah,
I would
2
keep it
3
to 3
people.
or less, right? So 2 or 3 people. I would just take a vote of this committee to have those 2 or 3 people work on the logistics and then report back to the committee as a whole, just to get the project blessed and have it move forward. But to
Yeah,
your
good.
point, I don't think we need to hash out all the details. I think as a committee, we can kind of put the direction of where we want to go with the event. And
Right.
then those individual people, which I imagine would be yourself and, 1 or 2 others, would kind of roll with and figure it out. And obviously, Brooke is always able to assist and she does not make part of any quorum.
Right, exactly. So there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I want to get it moving, but right, exactly. It's we want to make sure we're doing things the right way and in the public eye as much as possible. So and there's nothing weird or controversial about scheduling this. I just don't want it to be to become controversial. So yeah, that on that note, I definitely would like to be a part of it. Is there anybody else on here who wants to throw their hat in the ring so we can get to 3 people?
I will.
Okay, awesome. That would be great. And
And
JJ.
you said that the date was May 19th, right?
Yep, it's May 19th.
Okay.
Yeah. I know your schedule's crazy, so
I know. I was like, hold on, let me look at the calendar. But yeah, that's fine.
But that's okay. It's more the between now and then, just getting it set up. It'll be even more important. If for some reason you couldn't make it, that day, that's okay. But JJ or Pete, did one of you want to? I don't know people's schedules, and if you have time.
I'll be out most of April.
Oh, that's right. That's
yeah,
right.
so I won't be here. So
Yeah,
I could be a part of it, but I don't think I'll
Okay.
be much help in probably the main month that is we're gonna get stuff moving. So
That's okay. Yeah,
I think even the 2 of you, Tony, I think is more than sufficient. And I'm, I appreciate keeping my workload down, but if you need something that I can help with that maybe even Brooke needs help with, I'm always happy to pitch in. But I think even if the 2 of you run and kind of bounce things and you need support, we use Brooke where we need her, and me where you need myself as well.
Yeah, and again, this is just like a project, group. We don't even vote on this. I don't think it's more, if we're and Pete, if you want to Again, if you want to be a part of that, let me know. Otherwise, I'll keep it with myself and Essie, and then we'll just, again, you'll always be involved in it in the meetings, but if you do want to be a part of that, let me know. But I know you have a lot going on too, so.
Yeah, I'll let you know right now, but with school committee and the planning board,
I know.
with
Keeps
things
you
going
hopping.
on. Yeah,
Yep. No problem at all. I think the two of us can handle it. Brooke will definitely drag you in. Lucky you. And then we'll go from
I
there.
agree.
So Essie, I'll just reach out to you, after this, and we'll figure out what we want to do, and and we'll get the information back to this group. So we already have Paxton House of Pizza as a sponsor, so that's great. Charcuterie
great.
Woo, so they would be a sponsor. So that would be cool. So I had one other place in mind for a sponsor too, but we'll talk about it, and then we'll that's the main thing though, is just getting. I think we should I'd like to start to put together a PowerPoint that kind of introduces the Economic Development Committee and what we do and who we are. So as with anything else, I'm happy to put that together, or we can work on it together and then get it to this group, for final approval. I know I'll throw my hat in the rings for a lot of this stuff, and I'll do it, but it's always meant to come to this group and be finalized, by this group. I'm certainly not trying to, put my own spin on anything. I don't have a lot of spin to put on anything, so. But I'm happy to do the work and get it to everybody here. I put presentations together for a living, so doesn't mean I'm good at it, but I'm used to doing it. So, is there anything else while we're here on the within the group here that anyone wants to bring up in terms of that networking event and how it should work? What's to be included? I plan on it being, my vision was for it to be pretty casual for this one time. I'd like to have. Again, I'd like to get the invite out there to as many businesses as we can in town. Do we want to? I want to take a few minutes for the Economic Development Committee to introduce ourselves, do a quick presentation, explain what we do, how we do it, what our plans are for the future. But I don't want it to be all about us, right? I want it to be about the businesses and just getting together. I think the big question is, do we want any sort of presence there for them? Do we want something there? What's their reason for coming? Is it just a network, or is it, hey, we're going to have banks there, we're going to have we're going to have insurance companies, we're going to have a couple of different strategic I don't want to use the word vendors or whatever it is, but someone for them to interact with directly. So if there's any ideas on that, I know the Wachusett Chamber of Commerce, I spoke with them. They were interested in coming. So we may have a representative there from the Chamber of Commerce. Maybe we get a representative from the two banks. They're businesses in town, but maybe we make them kind of, if they want to be sponsors or kind of, and I don't know if keynote's the word, but we can, have them kind of be, featured, in terms of someone the business might be looking to have relationships with. So, yeah. Anybody have any comments or ideas around the event?
I think all of the above that you mentioned is great.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I definitely, the banks, like, they can come in and talk a little bit about their business products, some freebies I'm sure they have.
Yeah, I think they've been great partners, or great sponsors, and it's it's tough because we don't know who needs a carpenter, who needs a plumber, or so we can't. It's hard to like categorize everything, but I think banks are a good start to say, hey, the banks will be here and the Chamber of Commerce will be here, but
every business needs a bank, right? So
right, exactly.
Yep.
So I think it's a good place to start. But this whole concept will evolve, but we want to lock it down. And we're already at March 20th, so we're 2 months away. So I'd say we want to be able to lock it down in the next 3 to 4 weeks by or say 4 to 6 weeks. Right, we want to get invites out. We want to be. We can put like the word out pretty soon, right? We could already put together a post or something that says save the date. Details to follow.
can
Rutland
we put it on that the town's I don't even know what it's called, like the board that like says all the news that's going on when you drive by?
Yeah, how do we get on there, Heather?
There's a form right on the website that we can fill out, or if you just send the details over to Brooke can very easily fill out the form for you guys and get it to Dawn and get it on.
Okay.
The downside to that, Essie, is we usually only do it 14 days in advance.
Which is fine.
That being said, if you have any time after this meeting, Tony, and can send me like a 3-sentence blurb on the event, I'm happy to put it even in my town administrator's report for Monday.
Okay.
Make sure I start bringing it up each of the meetings.
Okay. Yeah. And Nessie, anything like that, I'll copy you on, since we're kind of doing
Okay.
this as a group in case you want to tweak
And
it
then
or
we
anything.
can put it on like the town Facebook page, and there's a few different ones that we can put it on.
Yeah, there's a business one, which is great. There's the Paxton Business Group. If anybody hasn't seen that, there's been a lot of activity on that with spring coming up. I see a lot of people posting business.
I don't think I've seen that one. I gotta look for it.
Yeah, everybody here should probably be a member of that if you
Yeah,
do social
definitely.
media stuff. And then conveniently, Robin Teska, I see, has joined from the public thing. So Robin posts a lot of stuff. So that's convenient that you're here, Robin. Maybe we'll get your take on that at some point. I know Robin puts a lot of town stuff on social media sites, which is awesome. So maybe we can get some help there. Cool. Anything else on the event? Anybody else have any, questions, concerns, ideas? But if not, we'll table that and move on. The next thing I had on the agenda was the bank incentive project, which is what Jason was working on, but he's not here tonight. So I'm just going to get an update from him. I know he had meetings with the banks and they went well. Next time, the next meeting, we'll get a more detailed update from him in terms of where that's going. And that was, just again, the banks in town having some sort of I don't know if the word incentive is right. I don't want to use the word discount, get myself in trouble, but some sort of a unique connection.
Program.
The program, that's the way to say it. Good job.
Yes.
That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, I don't know the details. And Essie, I don't think you were involved in that, right? Was it just Jason? I don't know if you know.
It was just Jason. Yeah, I brought up the idea because of the other few
Yeah.
economic development committees that I'm on for work.
Yep.
And, there's similar ones around here. So if we could kind of mirror or, adjust to what we need and what the banks are offering, that would be something in additional that we can offer businesses coming to town.
Yeah, and it did seem like they were open to it. So we didn't get into details of what specifically it would look like, but we'll see if we get some more info from him next time we meet. But yes, that was a good suggestion. So I'm glad to see that getting some legs. Let's see, update on new business opportunities, right? So we have our yet to be named and kind of vague from a location perspective ice cream shop that we've been talking about. I can tell you that's been actually moving along. They hit a little snag, related to, putting sinks in the property they're looking at and stuff, but it is actually moving along. So I'm thinking in the next, 1 or 2 meetings here, we may have some more specifics on that. I think it's going in a good direction, which makes me happy.
Do you think it'll open for this season? Sorry.
What's that?
Do you think it will open for this? Sorry. Do you think it'll open for this season?
If it keeps going on the path they're on right now, I do.
Oh, good.
I don't know.
I mean, as you guys know, they're my neighbors, and every time I see them, I forget to ask them.
Yeah, and as you know, like they've been kind of, and I don't blame them, right? They've wanted to keep it kind of quiet till it gets further down the road, right? It's like,
yeah.
And I don't blame them, but it's been, they'll reach out to me every once in a while for questions about this and that. And Heather's been around some of it too. Brooke too. Like I pointed them to Brooke actually. Brooke, you've been super helpful. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I think, Brooke, you probably know what I'm talking about when I say the snag they ran into, but I think it's moving along. So, I feel good about that one. I think, this is great. This all started with the SEU bringing, some people together. And, I had someone reach out to me about the charcuterie roux, which is kind of next on the agenda. It's like, I hope more word gets out there. We don't have a ton of retail space, but business people are creative, whether it's home businesses or pairing up with other businesses or whatever. There's still room for more growth, but, just getting these couple up and running is important. So
Yeah,
Charcuterie
it'll be a
Roux.
big success for our group, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. And I think part of the presentation that we'll put together, which we'll be able to reuse it, but it'll be for the networking event. I think it's really important for us to get the word out there as we get through budget season, right? That just because we have an economic development committee doesn't mean we're going to be able to pull off anything that solves the budget deficit, this year. I would love to. It would be great. And we'll always look for those opportunities, right? But one, they're few and far between. We don't have a lot of space right now, for anything big like that. And we only do something like that if it's something people in town support, right? So there's a real process for all of that anyway. So I think it's good to get out there that one, that's not, the number one thing that's going on with having an economic development committee, but two, just because we're not going to solve the deficit doesn't mean this isn't important, right? Because without this, and I mean, there's so much work that goes into just making our reputation better for businesses, not just new businesses, but our existing businesses in town. I get a lot of feedback about they don't, know where to go for certain things, or how to do certain things. There's a lot of just making business, improving how we work with businesses in town. We can easily, without this committee or without the work we're doing, we're not bringing in $2 million of revenue into the town next year, but we're also hoping to keep things level, increase a little bit, and not go backwards. Like there's a real risk of going backwards, in a town like this if you're not going forward. So it's a lot of work just to keep things where they are in terms of businesses and make the process better for that time down the road when there is room for growth, So I think that's the message we need to get out there. And when I put that presentation together, that's kind of what I'll, focus on, and we'll all tweak it together and come up with a final copy. But I've had conversations with people where it goes down that path where it's like, wow, you're not gonna get rid of the deficit. It's like, well, you're right, and it's not that that's not the plan. That's just not in the cards right now, And
Exactly.
yeah, we'd all love to do that if it's something that fits the town and makes everybody happy and solves that problem. But that's there's lots of other things going on. So anyway, yeah, these businesses we have right now, we have the ice cream, shop, which is moving along. Charcuterie Roux, I just got a message from them yesterday that they signed their lease, which is awesome. So that's really good news. There's still work to be done, right? There's still plumbing and building and all the fun little things like that. But so it sounds like we'll have them in that space. If anybody knows, they've had some conversations with people about sharing the space with them. And I'm pretty sure they structured the lease in a way they can sublet or split the space, which was a big hang up, but I think they were able to get over that hump. So that's awesome. So they had a couple of bakeries they talked to. So if anybody here knows anyone directly or hears of anyone who would be a good fit to split that space with them, something like a bakery, or I had talked to one lady who wants to start like a wine academy where you learn to make wine, kind of like how they do, brew your own beer type of thing. But there's liquor license concerns with that. And then I haven't heard from her for a while, so I don't know if that's realistic. But yeah, if anybody has any ideas, let me know. If Carrie and Tom that own Charcuterie Roux, let them know. But super happy to see them. I mean, they're just like energetic people to the max. Like having them in town and having a space, it's going to be really, really exciting.
Yeah, they're great. Their energy, like you mentioned, is awesome. Exactly what we need.
100%. Just their energy level. Like you're around them, you just want to like build a house or something.
Yeah, I'm like, how do you guys get this energy? I need some of it.
I love it. So that's going to be a really cool one. So if does anybody else know of any other new business opportunities, or I haven't had anything else come my way, but anybody else has anything or anyone's reached out to them, just bring it to the committee, and we'll always get it on the agenda here and help them navigate. I look at it's a twofold process, right? We want to help them navigate through the processes in town, but as we do that, we want to look at the processes and look at ways to make them better, right? So that's kind of a twofold process, right? You let them know, like, hey, yeah, we know our reputation for working with businesses isn't the great, but part of that's because we're a small town. We don't work with a ton of businesses. Some of our businesses have been here forever. We're not bringing new businesses in all the time. But now's the time to make that process better, you know. So if anybody has anything else that comes up, you know, bring it to the committee, and we'll gladly help them out. I thought that I had put the ribbon cutting stuff on the agenda. Maybe I did not. But we'll just make that new business because we do need to talk about that, right? The ribbon cutting ceremonies. We need to lay out the specifics of how that works, right? Because I think it'd be a really cool thing to do for the new owners at Theo's starting project. I've talked to them about it. They're very excited. Stuff like that goes a long way in town. You know, they can bring their friends and their family. So Heather, I don't know, you and I talked about that briefly, and I know I think right now it's just making a list of who needs to be invited, how do we invite them, you know. Again, maybe that's something we don't do in this meeting, but maybe there's people that want to tackle that as a subgroup. I don't even know if we need to identify the subgroup in the meeting. I can send out an email and just say who wants to be the subgroup for this meeting, right? It's just we get one or two people that reply. It's not really a quorum, or it's not out of the. I think that's okay to do, or we can save it for the next meeting. Either way, it's not some major thing, right? It's just an event planning committee, basically, right? So, I love your hello. So yeah, I think they would be a good one. I'd like to see that spread out. Like I know Sav, I think is related, or to Alex and Anna somehow, or knows them well. Like it'd be great to have him take the lead when we do Theo's, right? Or, you know, Essie, when we do the ice cream thing, I think it'd be cool for when we get to the ribbon cutting part, maybe having you be the point person from the Economic Development Committee, because you know them so well. So
Yeah.
you know,
I
anybody
do
who,
know Theo's owners as well. They're
oh, do
actually
you? Of course you
Albanian,
do.
so we know that. I know, right?
Yeah, so the
So
people who
I can
know them
assist with that too.
okay. Yeah, you guys anybody who's got a relationship with the business should be in the ribbon cutting, but it's a fun thing, and I think it's an important thing. It creates like a, you know, just a really cool memory for people and a good tone, you know, for businesses in town. It's something to look forward to. So I don't know, do we want to take a couple of minutes while we're on here to talk about that? Like Heather, do you have specifics you know, about I know you and I talked briefly about like people who need to be involved or invited, or, you know, but is that something we should do offline? I don't know if you have that on the top of your head.
Well, I think, you know, I think it's good for us to bring it up in the meeting. And then to your point, you can always work on it a little bit more offline.
Yeah.
But so in general, I mean, I think it'd be good if we can find out, you know, I imagine the chamber already does these, or other cities and towns. So if we can grab a list of, you know, if they have a more formal list, it's probably a good place to start. Otherwise, I would say, you know, we want to make sure we invite the select board members. We want to make sure we're inviting, you know, the rep and the sender. And then also, you know, I'm sure there's a list of some folks in town, you know, whether it's representatives from the Landmark or any other news outlets and things.
Right.
The paper that covers, you know, the local Paxton News, you know, just trying to come up with a list to make sure that we're doing this equitably across the board so everyone gets the same opportunity. We don't want to, it would be better if we didn't get to the third one and then really understand what we were doing.
Right.
Right.
Although it will evolve. I mean, it's right. As long as we make our best effort, there's going to be somebody we forget, and
Yeah.
something we forget, and somebody's
This
going
is
to say,
our
well,
first
yeah, we'll
go
do that.
round, so.
But we don't want that first person to really feel like the guinea pig, right? We want to make sure it
Right.
seems like we know what we're doing at least.
Sure.
So I think kind of
Yeah.
figuring those pieces out, but if we can find, and it's something Brooke and I can most certainly work on too, reaching out to other communities and seeing if there's a template that's out there anywhere, something that people generally do, and just what their policy, procedure, or even checklist is on it, so we have a place to start. Plus it might include things that, you know, Tony, even when you and I chatted offline, even tonight, maybe we're not thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, I did talk to the chamber about it, and they definitely have a process for it. So we could start there by getting their process. And I
Yeah,
think
the
though we should
chamber
take at the end of the
definitely.
day and look at it and say, do we want to follow their process 100%? We should put our own spin on it too, like make it our own thing, but make sure we're checking all the right boxes, right? We want to make sure it's not. We don't want to be super robotic. What do we all think people in Paxton want it to be like? What's our version of what the chamber is doing and all this? So
Yeah. And I think also like some type of, not visual, I don't know if visual is the right word, but like, the town surrounding, even though obviously the business is going to be impacted, like getting the word out in the surrounding towns. I mean, even Worcester, obviously we're not that too far from Worcester, so they can see, oh wow, there's a new, I mean, Worcester has so many different pages online and on social media. Oh, there's new businesses in Paxton, new owners at Theo's, new ice cream shop, or like just to get more visual out there versus just like Paxton.
yeah, I think it's a good idea. I'm kind of taking notes on this while we're talking about it. So
Like even maybe including like Worcester Chamber, we're not too far from them.
right. Yeah, I still don't understand exactly that dynamic of. I know that we're technically under the Wachusett Chamber, but is that a sub, city area of the Worcester Chamber? Or I actually had talked to somebody who was looking into that for me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly.
But
I used to be part of the Worcester Chamber when I worked in Worcester.
okay,
And I mean, we went to a lot of like ribbon cuttings and new businesses. So they definitely have a plan in place or like procedure in place for sure.
right. And the Wachusett Chamber, when I spoke with them, they said the same, and they were happy to share it. They were doing one in Rutland at the new restaurant there. They kind of combined the ribbon cutting with the networking event, which
Okay.
was a good idea. But they said they were totally willing to talk about it and share the information, through the chamber or even through the folks in Rutland, what they did. So. Yeah, we don't want to reinvent the wheel necessarily, but we can make a Paxton version of the wheel. So, and Chuck, I did send around a example of a certificate that I had talked to Chuck Putney because he does that kind of stuff for a living, and he volunteered to just make a template. So if you guys saw that, he put charcuterie woo in there as a business, just as a just as an idea. But I sent that example around if you guys want to take a look at that too and see if you want to make any changes to it or if we need. But we could, I think it is a good idea to have like a certificate that we can give to the business, that says what we wanted to say. So, but feel free to take a look at that and mention any, if you have any edits or
I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah,
I'm looking at it now.
yeah, I thought
So-
he did a good job.
Related to that, Tony, one question I have is, and I don't think I missed something, but it's always possible I did. Do we want to put in an out of guidance or pretty much just a request for any funds for FY26 budget? To support things like printing out those certificates. Right? I mean, we can totally print them out at town hall, but what we're going to use for resources is not necessarily going to be what we may want to
Right.
give out.
Yeah, I already started a spreadsheet where I'm like putting in like projected costs, right? But you just went on mute. Oh, maybe that was on purpose. So yeah, I did. So I think the short answer is I think so, because otherwise I'll just be probably personally printing things and whatever. But we're not going to not do it because we don't have a budget. Like unless something's going to cost me $10,000, I'm happy to just do it myself. But I'm keeping track of those costs, so yeah, I do have a. We don't really have anything yet. This is really one of the first things that I put together. I mean, Chuck. I even asked Chuck if there was any cost for him just creating it. Obviously, he said no. He did great work on it. So yes, I will start tracking the cost for things like this so that we can have a budget, because I know there's so much extra money to be used up in the coming years. We want to make sure we.
Yeah. I mean, if it is something we want to do, we need to get something in by next Wednesday, because that's pretty much the end of FinCom meetings, making adjustments.
Yep.
And I don't know if maybe we wanted to put in something small, like $100, $200 just to have, be able to
Right.
buy like those gold emblem seals or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, this year, the most we would have would likely be 3. So we would have Theo's, we would have um, Charcuterie Woo, well, maybe 4, the ice cream place, and then we could maybe do something official for the Sky Deck or the whatever it is, the the new rebranded bar on the top of Soccer Asylum. So those are so we could potentially have 4. So that's I'll get that. I don't think it's much money, so we want to project it out for like next year. I don't know if we need any money in the short term to actually do it this year, but we'll see. I'll figure it out.
Okay, just remember I'm on a strict, like, I have to get something into FinCom by Wednesday. But again, if the costs are very small, we do have some funds at Town Hall so we can absorb some
Yep.
pieces for very small things. And, generally FinComs recognize that some of these projects we don't always anticipate. So they
Yep.
have been entertaining reserve funds as needed
Yeah, and
in
obviously
small
the
amounts.
part of FinCom, I know that we want to be very, 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 very careful with anything we request this year and make sure it's strictly, important. So required.
Well,
So
I think by at least proposing $100 for the budget for this committee, the worst that can happen is turned down. And we're showing we're being proactive as far as doing something for the town. Not saying that it would be approved, but at least we're going forward.
yeah, it's not a bad idea. Again, like last year, I think there was monies proposed for Economic Development Committee that got cut, which again, if I have to pick between our $200 and other things, I think we made the right choice. So yeah, it might happen again. You're right, but yeah, we can throw it in there. Let me do my best though to come up with some specific, costs like these. The only thing I see as a specific cost would be the ribbon cutting ceremonies, right? We don't the networking event. There's no cost to that. It's fully sponsored. The space is free,
Yeah.
so we don't have any costs associated with that. So it might be the ribbon cutting ceremonies. We need, a couple certificates, some gold stamps, a big pair of scissors, and some ribbon. So
Yeah,
maybe
but those big pair of scissors aren't cheap, so.
yeah, right. Maybe we can borrow them like we did the buzzers for the town meeting. So
They,
Yeah.
there you go,
fingers
Tony. The other thing, just
I'm
keep in
sure the
mind, just,
chamber has a pair.
right.
um, just keeping in mind, there's other things that we may not know what we need yet, right? We talked about like the frozen assets thing or other events that we don't
Yeah.
yet know about. But again, I think for the most part, at least for the first year, I think we should be able to keep the cost relatively inexpensive or relatively low and be able to use what we have for town resources.
Right. Yeah, and we want to track even like costs that are, that if there's a cost that somebody sponsors or offsets or something, but it's going to be a cost in future years. We want to track that so we know what to ask for. To Pete's point, we just ask for $100 or $200 so we have something for the unanticipated costs other than it might not be a bad idea. The idea that I had proposed for like the winter event, like that would probably have about, I'd say $300 to $400, in total cost for that. But again, for that, what we probably need is a revolving fund because part of that is going to be asking people to, make donations to make a guess for when the ice melts, and then we may end up net positive on something like that, with money in a revolving fund. So. But yeah, probably need to lay that stuff out a little more formally. And for now, I don't know if we'll have time to do anything else other than make an arbitrary request for a couple $100. So we have it.
So I
That might,
think,
yeah,
so I think the revolving fund, Tony, if that's something we're interested in, I've seen a couple other towns who have them. We can take a look at what their contents are for those and how they set them up. Saying what they're taking fees for, what they're expending things for.
yep,
This would be the first town meeting since I've been here in which I haven't amended the revolving fund bylaw. So I kind of
okay,
feel like, I was waiting for something.
yep. That's a good point. That's a good point. I'd hate to deny you that privilege. So if we can help you get to do that, then we'll do that. But yeah, those are really the only events I see that have any costs associated with them, like the ribbon cutting stuff, which is minimal. And again, the chamber may have everything we need, and so I don't know if there's going to be any costs associated with that, but it might be more along the lines of the event for the winter event. Do we need money for that, or is it a revolving, or are we going to take our chances with the fact that participation and people, making donations will offset the cost of that event? But we're just, we're not really digging into planning that yet, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right. Was there any other new business opportunities, or any other new business to be discussed? If not, the next thing on the agenda would be the public session. I know Robin's been patiently, quietly here, maybe listening, maybe wanting to say something. Robin, was there anything that you wanted to mention? We're thrilled to have you here.
Yep, thank you. No, I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I had to step away during the ice cream mention, which was what I really wanted to hear on tonight's meeting. So I'll wait anxiously for the recording. I do see this meeting's being recorded. I'm hoping it will be on cable YouTube channel. Do you have an ETA of when that'll be? And also, do you know when your minutes will be on the website? As of right this very minute, 6:49 p.m. March 20th, 2025, there is not a single set of minutes for your board or committee.
Oh, I don't know. I've sent some, so I'll find out about that. I think the only ones I hadn't sent was the last meeting, but I'll find out.
Oh, I stand corrected. I apologize. Your last set of minutes, you do have a couple. The last set of minutes is from December 5th, but you had a January 16 and a February 27 meeting, but you probably just approved the February 27.
Those. Yep. So those, I'll send those over tonight. And then, they usually get posted pretty quickly. So I'll get those sent over and we'll get those posted. Yeah.
And I appreciate all the efforts that you guys are doing.
Likewise. So yeah, thanks for showing up. I love when people from the public.
You're welcome. Your 2023 minutes are not posted at all. So you only have a couple from 2024. No 2023 minutes are posted on the website.
Yeah, I wasn't even on the committee then, so I can see if there's any way for me to get those. I'm not sure. So we'll I can look into it. I think
didn't we take a break for a period of time?
Yeah, there might have been. I don't know.
There was definitely a year or at least 6 months break.
Yeah, I'm looking at the agenda. If you go by the agendas and then you look at the minutes tab, you had agendas, but there are no matching minutes.
Yeah, I mean, all I can do is go back to the chair.
No, I understand that, Tony. I'm just curious, so trying to catch up. That's all.
Nope, it's a fair question.
Informed resident.
Yeah, we'll see if there's anything we can do. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, just trying to be an informed resident and stay on top of it, but it's kind of hard when stuff is missing.
Yep, no problem. Well, thank you. Yeah, all the current ones will be out there. We'll make sure of that, and then I'll see if there's anything we can do about the old ones. I don't know. All right. I don't think there's anybody else on from the public. Thanks, Robin. If there's nothing else, do we have a motion? Sorry. The next meeting, as of right now, I think we have Thursday, April 24th at 6 p.m. That is meant to be in person only. So we're trying to do fully in person or Zoom. So that meeting will be in person at the Senior Center, at the Council on Aging, at the White Building, whatever you know it by. So we'll hopefully people can attend in person. And we'll go from there.
It's school vacation week, so we'll be away. I won't be.
That's good.
But
that's a good point.
I don't know if it will impact a lot of us.
Okay, I'll send out an invite and see if we get enough people that are able to join, and if not, we'll look at a different week.
Okay.
Yeah, because I'd like to have as many people as we can, so let's see what we can do. All right. If there's nothing else, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do we have a second?
I second that.
All right. Peter. Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Essie,
Yes.
Heather,
Yes.
DJ.
Yes.
I'm a yes as well. So we unanimously agreed to adjourn. So thanks everybody for your time. Brooke, thank you for getting this set up and recording. And we will see everybody soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.